Don't look at me like that unless you mean it. Noah said it so quietly, I almost convinced myself I imagined it. Almost. The problem was, I had only been at my brother's house for 20 minutes, and his wife's little brother was already standing too close to me in the hallway, holding my suitcase like we were in the middle of something I didn't understand yet. I blinked at him. Like what? Noah's mouth twitched, but he didn't smile all the way. That was the first thing that messed with me. Noah Bennett used to smile at everything. Bad jokes, burnt burgers, awkward family photos, my brother pretending he knew how to grill. The last time I saw him, he was still the loud college kid who showed up to Thanksgiving in ripped jeans and ate half the mashed potatoes before dinner even started. Now he was 24, taller than I remembered, hair a little darker, shoulders a little broader, wearing a faded navy hoodie like he hadn't tried at all, and somehow looked better because of it. He tilted his head. You always do that thing. What thing? The Ethan Miller thing. I stared at him. That means nothing. It means you look calm, but your ears turn red when you're panicking. My stomach dropped in the stupidest way. I'm not panicking. Noah glanced at my ears, then back at my face. Sure. From the kitchen, my sister-in-law shouted, Noah, stop bothering him and bring his bag upstairs. I'm helping, he called back, eyes still on me. Aggressively, I muttered. He laughed then. Low. Easy. Different from how I remembered. It hit somewhere in my chest before I could stop it, which annoyed me immediately. This was Noah, my sister-in-law's little brother. Family adjacent. Off limits in the way nobody would actually call off limits, but everyone would definitely talk about if something got weird. And nothing was weird. Not yet. That was what I told myself while following him upstairs. The house was already loud with anniversary week chaos. My brother and his wife were throwing some big backyard party for their 5th wedding anniversary, which apparently required 7 full days of errands, decorating, family dinners, and emotional hostage situations. I had flown in from Chicago because saying no would have made me the cold brother. I planned to survive the week, eat free food, smile in photos, and leave Sunday morning. Simple. Then Noah stopped outside the guest room and pushed the door open with his shoulder. Your kingdom. I looked in. Small room. Queen bed. Folded towels. A framed picture of a lighthouse for some reason. Fancy. Don't get too comfortable. He dropped my suitcase beside the dresser. We've got a schedule. Yeah. He pulled a folded paper from his hoodie pocket and handed it to me. It was a handwritten list. Grocery run. Pick up flowers. Assemble lights. Taste test cupcakes. Help with seating chart. I frowned. Why is my name next to yours on half of these? Noah leaned against the doorframe, way too pleased with himself. Because apparently we're both single and useful. That sounds like a threat. It's a family event. Everything is a threat. I laughed before I meant to. His eyes flicked down to my mouth for half a second. Just half. Maybe less. Still, my chest tightened like my body had caught something my brain was trying to ignore. Then my brother appeared at the top of the stairs, holding a roll of tape and looking exhausted. Great, you two met again. Perfect. You're on errand duty tomorrow. We didn't agree to that, I said. You came here voluntarily. That's not consent to manual labor. Noah clicked his tongue. Day 1 and already complaining. Bad boyfriend behavior. The word landed too hard. Boyfriend. My brother didn't even notice. He just snorted and headed back downstairs. I looked at Noah, waiting for him to backtrack, to grin, to make it obvious. He didn't. For 1 second, the hallway went strangely quiet. Then he lifted one shoulder. Relax, Ethan. I'm kidding. Right. Kidding. Obviously. I forced a smile. Good. Because you'd be exhausting. You have no idea. He picked up the empty laundry basket by the door and stepped past me, close enough that his sleeve brushed my arm. It was nothing. Fabric. A second. Barely a touch. But he didn't move away quickly, and neither did I. At the stairs, he looked back. 7 days, by the way. What? You and me. His grin softened into something harder to read. Our 7-day countdown. Then he disappeared downstairs, leaving me in the hallway with my pulse acting like something had already started. The next morning, I found Noah in the kitchen stealing grapes from a plastic container like he paid rent there. He was barefoot, hoodie sleeves pushed to his elbows, leaning against the counter while my sister-in-law moved around him with the kind of patience only older sisters had. You are not helping, she told him. Noah popped another grape into his mouth. I'm supervising. You're eating centerpieces. Fruit should not be decorative. I stopped near the fridge, still half awake, trying very hard not to notice that he looked unfairly normal in morning light. Messy hair, sleepy eyes, one sock missing for reasons I did not want to know. Normal things. Annoying things. Things that should not have made my chest feel weird. My brother pointed at me from the breakfast table. Good. Ethan's up. You two need to hit Costco before noon. I reached for coffee. I just got here yesterday. Exactly. Fresh energy. Noah straightened and grabbed the handwritten list off the counter. Come on, serious one. We have boyfriend errands. I almost dropped the coffee scoop. My sister-in-law looked over, amused. Boyfriend errands? Noah did not even blink. Fake boyfriend errands. Huge difference. I forced a laugh, because that was what normal people did when someone made a harmless joke in front of family. Please do not start rumors before I have caffeine. Noah leaned closer as he passed me, just enough for his shoulder to brush mine again. Too late. At Costco, things got worse in the dumbest way possible. We needed folding trays, drinks, napkins, and enough snacks to feed a small football team. Noah insisted on pushing the cart, even though he drove it like a man with no fear of lawsuits. Every few minutes, our hands bumped when we both reached for the list. Every time, I told myself it was nothing. Grocery stores were crowded. Carts were narrow. People touched accidentally. That was life. Then an older woman near the bakery smiled at us while Noah argued with me about cupcake flavors. You two are adorable, she said. How long have you been together? My brain emptied completely. I opened my mouth to correct her. Fast, clean, painless. But Noah beat me to it. He slid one arm over the cart handle, relaxed as anything, and nodded toward me. Feels longer than it is. My face went hot. Noah. The woman laughed. That is always how it starts. She walked away before I could fix anything. I stared at him. Why would you say that? Noah picked up a container of vanilla cupcakes and pretended to examine them. Because your face did that thing again. My face did not do anything. It did a lot, actually. You could have just said we are not together. He finally looked at me. Not laughing now. Not fully serious either. Something in between. Would that have made you feel better? The question caught me in the ribs. I looked away first, which felt like losing. It would have made it accurate. Right. He put the cupcakes in the cart. Accuracy. Very romantic. You are impossible. And yet, here you are. He pushed the cart forward before I could answer, leaving me standing in the bakery section with my pulse doing something embarrassing. The rest of the trip should have gone back to normal. It did not. Noah kept doing small things that were too easy to miss and too hard to ignore. He grabbed the coffee creamer I liked even though I had only mentioned it once the night before. He walked on the parking lot side when we crossed, like it was automatic. When the wind kicked up outside and I shivered, he glanced at me for half a second too long. You cold? I'm fine. That means yes. He took one of the grocery bags from my hand before I could argue. Our fingers brushed around the plastic handle. This time, neither of us pulled back right away. It was maybe 2 seconds, maybe less. But the parking lot noise faded in that stupid way things did when you were trying not to feel something. Noah's thumb shifted against mine. Barely. My throat went dry. Then a car honked nearby, and we both moved at once. Too fast. Too obvious. On the drive home, he was quieter. That should have helped. It did not. Silence with Noah somehow felt louder than his jokes. Halfway back, without looking at me, he murmured, "For the record, I only said it because she looked happy." I kept my eyes on the road. Said what? That we were together. My grip tightened on the steering wheel. We are not. I know. A pause. Then softer. I just wanted to see what you would do. I let out a short laugh that sounded nothing like me. That is a weird hobby. Noah turned his head toward the window, but I caught his reflection in the glass. He was smiling. Not smug. Nervous. Yeah, he said. Maybe. And that was the moment I realized the joke might not be completely safe for either of us. By dinner that night, I had already decided the Costco thing meant nothing. Noah was a flirt. Not in a serious way. In a breathing way. Some people hummed when they were bored. Noah made dangerous jokes and looked too pleased when people reacted. That was all. I was almost convincing myself until my sister-in-law handed us both a stack of folded place cards and pointed toward the dining room. You two can handle the seating chart. My brother groaned from the couch. That thing ruins marriages. Good thing we are not married, I muttered. Noah appeared beside me with 2 sodas tucked under one arm. Yet, the room went quiet for half a second. Not completely. The television was still on. Someone was still moving pans around in the kitchen. but the people close enough to hear us definitely heard him. My brother looked up slowly. My sister-in-law pressed her lips together like she was trying not to laugh. I waited for Noah to grin, to wink, to turn it into one of his usual dumb jokes. He did not. He just stood there, eyes on me, like he had surprised himself too. My face got hot. You are really committed to making this week unbearable. That finally broke it. My brother laughed. My sister-in-law shook her head and went back into the kitchen. Noah handed me one of the sodas, his fingers brushing mine around the cold can. You make it easy. I hated how fast my heart reacted. We spread the place cards across the dining table and started sorting names by family drama risk level. Aunt Linda could not sit near Uncle Mark. My brother's college friends could not sit near the older relatives unless everyone wanted to hear about crypto. Noah took it way too seriously, leaning over the table with a pen tucked behind his ear and a little crease between his eyebrows. It should have been funny. It was funny, until I noticed he had placed me next to him. Subtle, I said, tapping the card. Noah did not look up. Strategic. How is that strategic? You get quiet at big family stuff. I talk too much. Balance. That shut me up. I looked at him, but he kept pretending to study the list. You noticed that? His hand paused on the paper. You disappeared twice last Christmas. My throat tightened a little. I remembered that. Too many people, too many questions about work and dating and why I never brought anyone home. I had stepped outside both times and told myself nobody noticed. Apparently, Noah had. I needed air. I know. 2 words. Simple. Too simple to explain why they hit so hard. I reached for another place card at the same time he did. Our hands touched. Not a brush this time. My fingers landed over his, warm against the paper. I should have moved immediately. I did not. Noah looked down first, then at me. The dining room seemed to shrink around us. I could hear the dishwasher humming from the kitchen, my brother laughing at something on television, the tiny crackle of paper under our hands. Noah's thumb shifted slightly, like he was deciding whether to pull away or stay. My chest tightened so hard I almost forgot to breathe. Then my sister-in-law walked in carrying a bowl of salad. You guys okay in here? We both moved at once. Noah grabbed the wrong stack of cards. I knocked my soda with my elbow and barely caught it before it spilled. Fine, I said too quickly. Noah cleared his throat. Seating chart is very emotionally intense. She looked between us. Her eyes narrowed, not suspicious exactly, more like amused in a way that made me want to leave the room. After dinner, I escaped to the back porch with my phone and no real plan. The night air felt cooler than inside. I had one unread message. Unknown number. For a second I frowned, then opened it. Noah, you ran away again. I looked through the glass door. He was still inside, leaning against the kitchen counter while my brother talked at him. He was not looking at his phone. Not until I typed back. Me. I am standing 12 feet away. Noah, still counts. Me. How did you get my number? Noah, family group chat. Terrifying place. I smiled before I could stop myself. Then another message came through. Noah, for what it is worth, I did not mean to make you uncomfortable earlier. I stared at the words longer than I should have. My fingers hovered over the screen. Me. You did not. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Noah, then why did you move your hand? My pulse kicked once hard. Inside, Noah finally looked toward the porch. Through the glass, our eyes met. He was not smiling now. Neither was I. I told myself there were 100 safe answers. The problem was, I could not think of one that was true. Noah did not come outside right away. That somehow made it worse. I stood on the back porch with my phone in my hand, staring at his last message until the screen dimmed. Then why did you move your hand? It was a simple question. Too simple. That was the problem. I could lie in person. I could laugh something off across a dinner table. But on a screen, with him 12 feet away and watching me through the glass, every fake answer looked stupid. I typed, deleted it, typed again. Before I could send anything, the back door opened. Noah stepped out carrying 2 mugs. Tea. He murmured, like we had not just been standing on opposite sides of a window pretending not to panic. My sister made too much. I looked at the mugs. Your sister made exactly 2 cups. She is very talented. I took one because my hands needed something to do. The mug was warm. So was the space between us, even with the cool night air moving around the porch. Noah leaned against the railing beside me, close but not touching. For once, he did not fill the silence with a joke. That made my chest feel tight in a different way. You did not answer, he said finally. I stared out at the backyard, where half-assembled string lights hung from the fence like somebody gave up halfway through a Pinterest project. You texted me 2 minutes ago. You read fast. You are annoying. That is not an answer. I let out a breath through my nose, almost a laugh, but it did not land. Noah turned the mug slowly between both hands. His shoulder brushed mine, light enough that I could pretend it was accidental. Neither of us shifted. Ethan. Just my name. Quiet. Careful. I hated how much it changed the air. I moved my hand because your sister walked in. That is the safe answer. I looked at him then. Big mistake. His face was softer in the porch light, the usual smirk gone, eyes fixed on me like he was done letting me step around things. What is the unsafe one? My mouth went dry. There were too many sounds suddenly. Crickets. Distant traffic. Someone laughing inside the house. My own pulse, loud and ridiculous. Noah. Yeah. Do not do that. His brows pulled together. Do what? Ask questions like you already know the answer. That should have made him back off. Instead, his gaze dropped for half a second, not to make it weird, just like he was trying to steady himself. When he looked up again, his voice was lower. Maybe I am hoping you will say it first. Everything in me stopped. I should have stepped away. I knew that. I had a whole list of reasons waiting in my head. He was my sister-in-law's brother. We were in my brother's backyard. The house was full of family. This week was temporary. People did not build real things out of 7 strange days and a few almost touches. But Noah was standing close enough that I could feel the warmth of his arm through my sleeve, and my body did not care about any of my reasons. Say what? I whispered. His fingers tightened around his mug. That I am not the only one feeling insane. The porch went still. Not actually. Nothing ever goes still. But it felt like the whole night leaned in. I looked at his hand on the railing, inches from mine. He saw me look. Of course he did. Slowly, like he was giving me every chance to stop him, Noah set his mug down on the little table beside us. Then his hand returned to the railing, closer this time. His knuckles brushed mine. Barely. I did not move. He waited. I still did not move. So he let his fingers slide against mine, not fully holding, not fully letting go. My chest tightened so sharply I almost said his name again. He turned toward me then, and I turned too. We were too close. Close enough that his breath changed. Close enough that every joke from the last 2 days suddenly felt like a trail leading right here. Tell me to stop, he murmured. I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. His eyes flicked between mine, searching for the answer I was too scared to give. My hand shifted without permission, fingers catching his for 1 second longer. That was all. 1 second. But it felt like crossing a line my brain had not approved yet. Then the back door slid open behind us. There you are, my brother called, completely oblivious. Noah's hand disappeared from mine, so fast the air felt colder. I stepped back, nearly hitting the railing. My brother held up a tangled mess of lights. Can one of you help me before I throw these into traffic? Noah picked up his mug, eyes still on the floor. Yeah, coming. I could not look at him. Not with my brother standing there. Not with my fingers still remembering his. As Noah walked past me toward the door, his shoulder brushed mine again. This time, it was not an accident. And right before he went inside, he whispered so only I could hear. 3 days left, Ethan. By the 5th day, my brother started watching us. Not in a dramatic way. He was not standing in dark corners with binoculars or anything. It was worse than that. It was casual. A little pause when Noah handed me coffee before I asked for it. A raised eyebrow when Noah moved a chair closer to mine at breakfast. A quiet look across the kitchen when I laughed at something Noah muttered under his breath. Small things. Things I could have ignored if I was not already losing my mind. You two are weirdly synced this week, my brother said that afternoon while we were in the garage looking for extra folding tables. I nearly dropped a stack of plastic cups. Synced. He shrugged, pretending to check a box of old extension cords. Yeah, you know, like an old married couple, but with worse communication. My chest tightened. That is a strange thing to say about your brother and your wife's brother. Is it? He looked over his shoulder, too casual. You tell me. I forced a laugh. It sounded terrible. Noah jokes with everyone. Not like that. The garage felt suddenly smaller. Dusty, warm, crowded with lawn tools and boxes of Christmas stuff nobody had opened in years. I reached for another table because doing something with my hands seemed safer than answering. You are reading into it. My brother leaned against the workbench, arms crossed now. Maybe. A pause. I am not mad, Ethan. That made me look at him too fast. His expression softened. Not teasing anymore. Not exactly suspicious either. Just older brother serious, which somehow made my stomach twist harder. I did not say there was anything to be mad about. Yeah, you never do. He said it quietly, and that hit worse than if he had pushed. Before I could answer, the garage door opened behind us. Noah stepped in carrying a case of soda against his hip. Your wife sent me to make sure nobody died in here. He stopped when he saw our faces. His smile faded a little. Bad time. Nope, my brother said, too quickly. Perfect time. Ethan was just explaining how normal you two are. I closed my eyes for half a second. Please do not. Noah's gaze flicked to me, then back to my brother. We are extremely normal. That is exactly what normal people say. My brother picked up 2 folding tables like he had not just lit a match and walked away. Bring those sodas inside, lover boys. The words were a joke. They were supposed to be a joke. But Noah did not laugh. Neither did I. The second my brother disappeared into the driveway, the garage got quiet in that dangerous way again. Noah set the soda down slowly. What did he say? Nothing. His eyes narrowed. Ethan. I hated how easily my name sounded different in his mouth now. Like it had weight. Like he had earned some private version of it I had never agreed to give him. He noticed us acting weird. Noah looked away first. That scared me more than a joke would have. Are we? I let out a short breath. Are we what? Acting weird. You know we are. He rubbed the back of his neck, suddenly looking younger, less sure. Maybe I thought I was imagining it. That almost made me laugh, but nothing about him looked funny. You literally held my hand on the porch. For 1 second. That was not a denial. His mouth opened, then closed. The silence that followed was so loaded I could barely stand it. Outside, my brother called for someone to move the cooler. Inside, family laughed through the open door. Everywhere around us, normal life kept going like nothing had shifted. Noah took 1 step closer. Not much. Just enough. Did it freak you out because it happened, or because someone might notice? There it was. Too direct. Too close to the truth. My throat went dry. Both. His face changed, just a little. Like the honesty hurt less and more at the same time. Okay. Noah, this is complicated. I know. You are my sister-in-law's brother. I know that too. I leave in 2 days. His jaw flexed. Trust me. I know. That should have been the end of it. A clean, painful little pause where we both stepped back and pretended we were being mature. But then my phone buzzed on the workbench. A message from my brother. Stop looking guilty. Mom already asked if you and Noah are dating. My stomach dropped so hard I actually went still. Noah noticed immediately. What? I locked the screen too late. He saw enough. His face went quiet. Not embarrassed. Not angry. Worse. Guarded. Great, he murmured. So now it is a family thing. It was a joke. Was it? I did not answer fast enough. Noah nodded once, like he had just confirmed something he did not want to know. Then he reached for the soda case, lifting it before I could help. We should go back in. Noah. He stopped at the door, but he did not turn around. 2 days left, right? His voice was light. Too light. Fake light. Let us not make it harder. Then he walked out into the noise of the house, leaving me in the garage with the awful feeling that the countdown had stopped being a joke. I spent the rest of that afternoon trying not to look for Noah and failing every single time. He was everywhere, carrying chairs across the yard, taping labels onto coolers, laughing at something my sister-in-law said while he tied a bundle of string lights around his wrist like a bracelet. Normal Noah things. Except he was not looking at me anymore. Not really. His eyes passed over me the way people glance at furniture. Quick. Harmless. Empty on purpose. I hated it. Which was unfair, because I was the one who kept saying this was complicated. I was the one who moved my hand first. I was the one who froze every time someone teased us because I could not handle the thought of my family seeing something I had barely admitted to myself. So when Noah gave me space, I should have felt relieved. Instead, my chest felt tight for 3 straight hours. After dinner, I found him in the driveway loading extra trash bags into the back of my brother's truck. The sun was almost down, turning everything orange and soft in that annoying movie scene way. I walked over with 2 bottles of water because apparently my body had decided to be brave without asking me. You have been avoiding me. Noah did not look up. I have been carrying heavy objects. Very different. I held out a bottle. He hesitated before taking it. Our fingers did not touch this time. Somehow that felt worse than if they had. Noah. He twisted the cap off and took a drink, eyes on the street. Do not do the serious voice. What voice? The one that makes me want to answer honestly. That stopped me. He seemed to regret saying it immediately. His jaw tightened. He leaned back against the truck and stared down at the bottle in his hands. For once, he looked like he had run out of jokes. I am not trying to make things harder, I said. Yeah. His smile barely showed up. You keep saying that. Because it is true. Maybe. He rubbed his thumb over the water bottle label until it started peeling. But sometimes it feels like you are only worried about things getting hard for you. That hit clean. No drama. No yelling. Just a quiet sentence that landed exactly where it was supposed to. I looked toward the house. Through the front window, I could see my brother moving around the living room, my sister-in-law talking with her hands, somebody's aunt laughing too loud. Everything in there looked warm and safe and normal. Out here, Noah looked like the thing I could ruin if I got scared again. That is not fair, I said, but my voice had no power behind it. Noah finally looked at me. Is it not? I swallowed. He stepped closer, not enough to trap me, just enough that I could not pretend this was a casual conversation by a truck. You think I do not know what this looks like? His voice dropped, rougher now. You think I have not thought about my sister? Your brother? The fact that you are leaving Sunday? I have thought about all of it. My pulse kicked hard. Then why keep pushing? He laughed once, quiet and humorless. Because I do not know how to stop. The air left my lungs. Noah looked away fast, like he had said too much. But he kept going, softer. I was joking at first. At least I thought I was. The boyfriend stuff, the countdown, all of it. It was easier that way. If you looked uncomfortable, I could pretend I was just messing with you. If you looked at me like you wanted me to keep going. He stopped, throat moving. Then I had something to hold on to for a second. I could not move. I could barely think. The whole week rearranged itself in my head. The teasing. The Costco lie. The texts. His hand on mine. 3 days left. 2 days left. None of it felt random anymore. Noah. He shook his head. I still not meeting mine. I was not joking on the porch. My chest tightened so sharply it almost hurt. When you held my hand? When I asked you to tell me to stop. He looked at me then, and there was no smirk to hide behind. No easy grin. Just Noah, nervous and too honest under the driveway lights. I did not want you to. For a second, neither of us said anything. A car rolled by slowly. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. I heard all of it and none of it. I did not want you to stop either, I admitted. The words came out quieter than I meant, but Noah heard them. I knew because his whole face changed. Not happy exactly. More like he had been holding his breath for days and finally remembered how to let it go. He stepped closer again. This time, I did not step back. Then why do you keep acting like this is only happening to me? I looked down at the space between us. Barely a foot. Maybe less. Because if I admit it is happening to me too, I have to do something about it. Noah's hand lifted slightly, then stopped before touching me. Asking without asking. My fingers moved first. Just enough to meet his halfway. Not fully holding. Not yet. But close. Real. His thumb brushed the side of my hand. Careful and slow. And my stomach dropped for a completely different reason. Then the porch light snapped on behind us. We both turned. My brother stood at the front door, one hand on the frame, looking between us with an expression I could not read. Noah's hand fell away from mine. My brother cleared his throat. Party prep starts early tomorrow. His voice was calm. Too calm. You two should come inside. Noah stepped back first. I felt the loss of him immediately. As we walked toward the house, he did not look at me. But right before we reached the steps, his hand brushed mine once. Quick. Hidden. On purpose. And this time, I knew for sure he wanted me to feel it. By Saturday morning, my brother had started treating me like a guy standing too close to a cliff. He did not say much. That was what made it worse. He just handed me a box of tablecloths without looking directly at me and went, "You good?" 2 words. Simple. Normal. Except my stomach dropped like I had been caught doing something wrong. Yeah. I lifted the box against my chest. Why? He shrugged, but his eyes flicked toward the backyard, where Noah was helping his sister string lights along the fence. You seemed distracted last night. I knew what he meant. The driveway. Noah's hand near mine. The porch light turning on. My brother standing there, too calm, too quiet, seeing just enough to make my brain start eating itself alive. I was tired. Uh-huh. He took a roll of tape from the counter. Ethan. I hated that tone. Older brother voice. Not angry. Not joking. Worse. Careful. Whatever is going on, just do not be stupid with people who matter. My throat tightened. Nothing is going on. He looked at me for a second too long. That is usually when something is. Then he walked outside, leaving me in the kitchen with a box of cheap white tablecloths and the sudden urge to disappear. I found Noah 10 minutes later near the side yard, untangling lights from a plastic bin. He looked up when he heard me, and for one quick second his face softened. Then he seemed to remember himself and looked back down. Morning. One word. Flat. Safe. I set the box on the grass. Morning. We worked beside each other in that awful polite silence people use when they are pretending nothing happened. He held the ladder. I clipped lights to the gutter. He passed me zip ties. Our fingers did not touch. Not once. I hated that I noticed. Finally, I climbed down and wiped my hands on my jeans. Are you mad at me? Noah gave a small laugh without looking over. That is a big question for 10 in the morning. You have been weird. I could say the same. Fair. Too fair. I looked toward the back patio, where relatives were arriving early with trays of food and opinions nobody asked for. My brother saw us. Noah's hand stopped moving around the lights. Yeah, I figured. He did not say anything bad. That almost makes it worse. He pulled another strand from the bin, slower this time. Because now we get to guess what everyone is thinking. Fun little party game. Noah. No, it is fine. He smiled, but it was the fake one. The one from yesterday, when he said not to make it harder. I knew this would happen. Knew what would happen. His eyes finally met mine. That you would get scared the second it looked real. The words stung because they were too close to true. I looked away first. This is not just about being scared. Then what is it? It is my family. Your sister. My brother. We are not just two random guys who can mess around with a feeling and walk away if it gets weird. His jaw tightened. Mess around. I realized the mistake the second his face changed. That is not what I meant. Sounded like it. Noah, come on. He dropped the lights into the bin a little harder than necessary. Not dramatic. Just enough. No, I get it. I am the guy from your weird week. The joke that got out of hand. That is not fair. Maybe not. He rubbed both hands over his face and looked toward the street. But last night you said if you admitted this was happening, you would have to do something about it. And today you are already building a case for why you should not. I had no answer. That was the worst part. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him he was wrong, that I was not trying to run, that I had not spent the whole morning thinking about flights back to Chicago like distance could fix whatever he had done to me. But my silence answered for me. Noah nodded once. Small. Hurt. Okay. Do not do that. My voice came out softer than I expected. Do what? Act like you are done before I even know what I am saying. For a second, he looked like he might step closer. Like he wanted to. Then someone called his name from the patio. His sister, waving him over with a stack of plates in her hands. The moment broke clean down the middle. Noah picked up the empty bin. You should probably figure it out then. He started to walk away, then stopped beside me, close enough that his sleeve almost touched mine, but did not. Because tomorrow you leave. And I am not doing the thing where I pretend this felt normal, just so you can feel less guilty. Then he walked back toward the noise, smiling when his sister reached him like nothing had happened. I stood there alone beside the half-finished lights, realizing I had spent all week afraid of being seen. But the first person I had actually made feel invisible was Noah. Noah disappeared into party mode after that. He smiled at relatives, carried coolers, fixed the Bluetooth speaker when my brother almost threw it into the bushes. He was everywhere and nowhere near me. That was the trick. He could be 10 feet away and still feel like the only person in the yard. By the time the anniversary party really started, the backyard looked like something my sister-in-law had pulled from a Pinterest board and then threatened into existence. String lights, folding tables, white tablecloths, paper lanterns, too many cousins, too many people asking me if I was seeing anyone in Chicago. I answered the same way every time. Not really. It started sounding worse each time I said it. Across the yard, Noah laughed at something his sister said. He looked good, relaxed, like maybe he had already figured out how to put us back where we belonged. Maybe he was better at this than I was. Maybe I had hurt him just enough for him to stop trying. That thought made my chest tighten so hard I had to step away from the table. I found him near the side gate later, alone for once, stacking empty soda boxes. He saw me coming and immediately looked tired. Ethan, Please do not come over here if you are about to be careful again. I stopped a few feet away. Fair. Painful, but fair. I am not. Noah gave me a look. You sure? Because careful Ethan has been driving me insane all day. I know. That seemed to catch him off guard. His hands went still on the cardboard. The music from the backyard thumped softly behind us. Someone shouted for more ice. Normal party noise. But the little space by the gate felt separate from all of it. I was scared, I said. Simple. No speech. No build-up. Just the thing I had been avoiding. Noah looked down. I know. No. I rubbed my palms against my jeans because they would not stay still. I was scared because it felt real. Not because it was a joke. Not because you pushed too much. Because you did not. His face changed, but he did not say anything. So I kept going before I could ruin it by thinking. You noticed when I needed air? You saved me a seat without making it weird. You remembered my coffee creamer. You kept giving me a way out every time you got close, and I kept taking it because I thought that made me responsible. My voice dropped. It just made me a coward. Noah swallowed. The cardboard box bent slightly under his fingers. I did not want you to feel trapped. I know. You looked like you wanted to run every time your brother looked at us. I did. That hurt to say. But not from you. He finally looked at me. Then from what? I glanced toward the backyard. Through the fence gaps, I could see my brother talking to our mom, my sister-in-law laughing with a paper plate in her hand. Family. Noise. History. All the things I had used as excuses. From what happens after, I admitted. After the party. After tomorrow. After I fly home and have to decide if this was just a week or if I am actually the kind of guy who calls you because I miss you. Noah's expression softened so fast it made my throat tighten. Would you? I let out a quiet breath. Yeah. The words sat between us. Small. Real. Noah stepped closer, then stopped himself. Like he still did not trust the ground. I need you to not make me feel stupid for wanting that. You are not stupid. I felt stupid this morning. I know. I moved first this time. Just one step. Close enough that his eyes flicked down to my hands. I am sorry. He nodded once, but his jaw stayed tight. I do not want to be your weird family week story. You are not. And I do not want to go back inside and pretend we are just making jokes. My pulse hit hard. Then do not. Noah stared at me, searching my face like he was trying to find the catch. Do you mean that? I held his gaze. No joke. No safe answer. Yeah. A long second passed. Then he reached for my hand. Not hidden this time. Not accidental. His fingers slid into mine beside the gate, warm and steady, and my whole body went quiet in a way I did not know I needed. Noah looked down at our hands, then back at me. You know, people might see. My thumb moved over his knuckles. I was still scared. Of course I was. But for once, fear was not the only thing in the room. Let them wonder. Noah's laugh came out soft and shaky. He stepped closer, shoulder nearly touching mine. That is the bravest thing you have said all week. Do not get used to it. Too late. For a moment, neither of us moved. We just stood there by the side gate, holding hands like it was both brand new and overdue. Then my brother's voice cut through the yard. Ethan? Noah? We need you for the toast. Noah looked at me. I looked at him. His hand loosened, asking without words. This time, I did not let go. We walked back into the party holding hands, and nobody noticed at first. That was the funny part. After all the fear, all the careful distance, all the stupid little almost moments, the world did not explode. My brother was too busy trying to get the speaker working again. My sister-in-law was wiping frosting off her dress. Someone's uncle was arguing with a folding chair. Life kept going. Noah's hand stayed in mine anyway. His fingers were warm, a little tense, like he was ready for me to panic and pull away. I did not. When we reached the patio, my brother looked up. His eyes dropped to our hands. Just for a second. Then back to my face. My stomach tightened. Old habit. But he did not make a joke. He did not ask a question. He just nodded toward the backyard and said, Come on. We are doing the toast before Mom starts crying without us. Noah squeezed my hand once. Small. Hidden from everyone else. I looked at him, and for the first time all week, I did not try to translate his expression into something safer. He was nervous. So was I? But he was still there. So was I? We stood near the back of the group while my brother lifted a plastic champagne flute and gave the worst anniversary speech I had ever heard. It was rambling, half funny, half embarrassing, exactly like him. My sister-in-law cried anyway. Noah laughed softly beside me, and his shoulder brushed mine. This time, I leaned into it just enough for him to know I meant to. Halfway through the toast, my sister-in-law glanced over. She saw our hands. Her eyes widened a little. Then her face softened in this quiet way that almost broke me. She did not point. She did not make it a scene. She just looked at her brother, then at me, and smiled like maybe she had known before either of us did. After the toast, people clapped, music came back on, and the party swallowed the moment whole. Noah finally let out a breath. "Well," he murmured. Nobody threw a chair. I laughed, the kind that comes out when your body realizes it has been bracing for disaster too long. "Give my family time." He turned toward me, still close, still holding on. "You okay?" Such a simple question. But it landed differently now. Not like he was testing me. Like he actually wanted the answer. I looked around the yard. My brother was talking to a cousin. My sister-in-law was pretending not to look at us every 5 seconds. The string lights were crooked. The tablecloths were already stained. Nothing was perfect. Somehow that made it easier. "Yeah," I said. "I think I am." Noah's thumb moved once over the side of my hand. "You think? Do not push it." His smile came back. Real this time. There he is. Later, after everyone left and the backyard looked like a tornado had hit a wedding registry, Noah and I ended up on the porch steps with 2 paper plates of leftover cake. My flight was still the next morning. Chicago was still waiting. Real life was still real life. We had not solved distance or family or whatever came after a week like that. But Noah sat beside me with his knee against mine, and neither of us moved away. That felt like a start. "So," he said, poking at the cake with a plastic fork. "Countdown is over." I looked at him. "Yeah. Does that mean you turn back into serious Chicago Ethan and pretend I was a temporary mental health issue?" I almost choked on a laugh. That is very specific. I like to prepare for emotional damage. I bumped his shoulder with mine. "I am not pretending." His fork stopped. He looked down at his plate, quieter now. "Good." I waited until he looked at me again. I might be bad at this. Obviously. Rude. Accurate. I smiled despite myself. Then I reached for his hand again, right there on the porch where anyone could have opened the door and seen us. "But I want to try." Noah looked at our hands for a long second. When he smiled this time, it was not teasing. It was smaller than that. More careful. More real. "Then call me when you land." That is it. For now. He leaned his shoulder against mine. "Big speeches freak you out." I stared at him, annoyed by how well he knew that after only 7 days. Or maybe he had been noticing me longer than I realized. "Fine," I said. "I will call." And text. Needy. Boyfriend duties. The word came back softer this time. Not a joke thrown across a kitchen. Not a way to make me blush in front of family. Just a small thing placed between us to see if it could stay. I looked at him, my chest warm and tight all at once. "Yeah," I said. "Boyfriend duties." Noah's smile broke wide then, and for once, I did not look away. That week did not magically fix everything. It did not make me fearless. It did not turn 7 days into some perfect love story with no messy parts. But it did something better. It showed me that sometimes the person who changes your life is not the one who crashes into it loudly. Sometimes he just saves you a seat, notices when you need air, holds your hand by a side gate, and waits to see if you are brave enough not to let go.